All right, welcome back to the Dave Knows Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, David Lee, and this is my best friend in the whole wide world, Sean Goff. How you doing, Sean?
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
And we were now, just to catch everybody up to what's been going on with me and Sean, me and him, we're in with another one of our best friends, the guy who actually does the theme song for the show, Duel, Eric Duel. The three of us were actually at Monday Night Raw this past Monday in Newark, New Jersey. And we've been catching up and talking about what we thought, because this is the first time we've actually been able to talk with each other about what we thought about the show and everything like that. So we haven't seen each other since, or really gotten to talk to each other since, especially since things have definitely changed now in terms of how we view wrestling. Because it's not the same, because I've known Sean ever since we were little kids. Like, we've known each other ever since we were really, really small. First time we ever met up, and first time we ever bonded over anything was a drawing I did of the Ultimate Warrior throwing up steroids. That was one of the first times. Not the first time, but one of the first memories we had with each other.
And for some reason, we just thought that's what happened if you took steroids.
I'm still not convinced that it isn't. I still don't necessarily know that it's not. Okay, so the other thing that we're going to talk about, I want to talk about, is just how we viewed wrestling, how much it's changed for us. Like, and I'm just going to go on a limb here. I actually don't really 100% know. How do you feel about the current product, like right now?
Oh boy, that's kind of a loaded question. I think there's a lot of match quality at times. They have a lot of talent, athleticism off the charts. Chain wrestling, which as viewers of your show know, you're a fan of, and so am I.
Yes, we are.
They've got some great chain wrestlers. They've got the strong guy, the high flyer. Like, they hit every notch.
Okay.
But the writing is atrocious most of the time, and so it's hard to actually buy into any character. It's hard to buy into their momentum. And beyond that, when the people getting the push all the time are the guys that, for me personally as an adult who's been watching wrestling forever, I just am not entertained while they're in the ring. That makes it tough to actually stomach the product as a whole. They have so many guys that I would genuinely tune in 4 times a week to watch these guys wrestle.
Yeah.
But I don't want to tune in just to watch them get their ass kicked by Roman Reigns every week.
And the funny thing to me is, like, just a couple of years ago, it's not even that long ago, just a couple of years ago, I really, really liked wrestling. Like, when CM Punk was around, like, it was at a new high for me.
He brought me back to wrestling.
Yeah. You had CM Punk, and, and you had the Wyatts and the Shield, back when I liked Roman Reigns, or at least liked him being in something.
Yeah, he was the enforcer.
Right. Right. And then, and Daniel Bryan was around, who's, pretty good. And, the thing was great.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're going to get this out right now. Okay. I'm going to say this. I like Daniel Bryan. I just don't think he's as great as everyone makes him out to be. That's all I'm going to say. And as Sean pointed out on a previous video, I actually did the chain count for your average match for Daniel Bryan. And as a chain junkie, his chain it's not that it's bad. It exists. It's just a little low. And my thing about Daniel Bryan is I think he does a great job as long as he has at least a decent or better opponent. But if you give him someone who's truly terrible, he ain't going to save anybody.
Yeah. Well, I'd say he can save them to an extent, but he's not going to pull, an amazing match out of them.
Yeah, because
he did save Roman Reigns, I thought, when they had their match.
I had this conversation. I was having this conversation with a bunch of other people when it comes to that Roman Reigns Daniel Bryan match. Is it good? Yes or no? And that's the thing. I will say it's passable. It's not unwatchable by any stretch of imagination, but I don't know if I could go as far as saying it's good.
No, but I'd say at that point in time, getting a passable match out of him was an endeavor. The American Dragon came through that time.
And that's what everyone's saying. So, like, I feel like that's a really good question mark for, matches. Like, is this match good? Was it, how was it? So I think that's actually a good benchmark to wonder. But I'll put it this way. Like, Chris Benoit, the guy I don't want to talk about, he could put anybody over. He could make a good match out of anybody.
Albert. That was always what we fell back on.
Oh, yeah, Albert. He got a good match out of Albert, which was shocking.
Yeah.
I actually rewatched that match, I think last year.
Wow.
Just because I was like, am I remembering this right? Like, now that I'm older, maybe I was wrong. Maybe this match wasn't that good.
Was that on the network? You're able to find Benoit versus Albert?
Well,
wow. That must have been tough.
No.
Because if you just went through a whole litany of Albert matches looking for that.
No, I Googled it, and the match, found out it was on a pay-per-view, and then I went to the network.
Okay,
yeah,
well played.
I had to Google it on my phone. No. Yeah, which is there you go. There's a free WWE Network hack. Use your phone to search for Benoit. I don't know if that's good or not. So all right, so Chris Benoit could get a good match at anyone. Kurt Angle could get a good match at anyone.
Yeah.
You know, and Daniel Bryan, you give him the right guy, sure, you're gonna get a fantastic match. But then you give him someone who's complete garbage, and you're gonna see a much different side of Daniel Bryan.
I think if anyone truly tries to make the argument that he's on the same caliber as Benoit and Angle, they're crazy.
Right. And people were saying he was better in Punk, which I also think is wrong.
Yeah, no, that's madness as well. Punk at that point in time was the best wrestler that they had.
Because what I don't get, I mean, there are a lot of little things about Punk that a lot of people have said that no one notices, or what separates good from bad. A lot of industry secrets, did you hear some of the things Bret Hart would say about CM Punk and why he thinks CM Punk would be the best in the business at that time and all that stuff?
Yeah, like doing his elbow drop if it's Bret's birthday, just little things he'd slip in.
Yeah, and Bret would also say that CM Punk had a lot of unspoken qualities, a lot of things that a lot of people don't know about, such as just ring placement. CM Punk was never that guy who, if you have a top rope finisher, you would have to see CM Punk scuffle his way, parallel to the corner.
Oh, the scuffle. It's one of the things that drives me crazy.
Oh, there's a good one. Yeah, scuffle. Yeah, CM Punk knows where to be in the ring at all times. He knows where to go to facilitate the next thing, which is a trait that not everyone has. And Daniel Bryan's good at that, too. I'm not trying to say he's not.
Of course.
I was just trying to say that CM Punk was, for me, hands down better in almost every category you could name at that time on that roster. But there you go. I know at CNLC we're both chain junkies, but we do have our list of things that just drive us crazy, little things that drive us nuts. Because, me and Sean is the guy I've been talking about with wrestling more than anyone I've ever known in my entire life. I've known him longer than any friend I've ever had, and we've gone on and on. But we have tons of little pet peeves. So, that's a good one. So, the ring scuffle. You hate that scuffle position. I know you have another one.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a bunch, and some, I'll actually, I believe you did a video on this as well, but the suicide dive to the outside that happens in every match, that didn't used to aggravate me that much until you went off on it one night, and now every match, it's like if you look at the FedEx logo and someone points out that there's an arrow in there, you can never unsee it.
Or that thing on Christian Bale's eye, right, by his eye.
Oh, yeah, jeez.
Can't not see it.
Another thing that stands out, and as much as I love The Rock, I feel like he is one of the guys that took this overboard. But staring at the ref, when they're going for a count.
Yeah, when he's going for a 3 count and kick out. Look, I understand that it's a loud stadium. Maybe you can't hear the hand on the mat. And you can keep your eyes open and look at the ceiling or something. But don't look directly at him. Don't get me wrong. I would totally prefer it if you could just go by the count, just hearing the mat slapping, which is why the ref should be doing it right next to your ear in the first place.
Yeah, I almost wonder, and this is me wondering from the couch at home as I'm watching wrestling, but whether or not anybody just blatantly doesn't trust the referees anymore, because it seems like everyone keeps an eye on them at this point.
I don't know. I think they're doing it because they really want to make that perfect amount of drama, and you can't do that off of timing alone. You could get a rhythm down if maybe there was a 5 count or a 10 count for sure. But 3 is a little short to establish a rhythm to make sure you get that perfect long 2. But to that regard, I'll say CM Punk versus The Undertaker. Undertaker's a veteran at WrestleMania.
Yeah, you lost your mind in that one.
Yeah, that was amazingly long too. And I didn't see The Undertaker staring at the ref Rock style, now did I?
Well, someone like The Undertaker at this point, he's using the Force. He doesn't need to look at anything.
I'm just saying, that's the thing. You can totally develop it, and that was the greatest long 2 I think I ever could have seen. And as we know from, or at least as we've been told from the Brock Lesnar match that, we shall now talk about, is that the referees are told to count the 3 if the shoulders are down.
Yes.
So that guy thought he might have screwed up.
Yeah.
They didn't tell the ref. The ref didn't know how the ending was going to go.
Oh, he must have been terrified.
Oh, yeah. I heard that he was absolutely horrified because, he thought that he was, he just thought he screwed up. He actually thought he just ruined the streak.
I would have fainted. I hurt my arm or something and just stopped counting.
That is what I would have done. I would have refused to count.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't have pretended you got hurt. You would have got up and walked out. That's different.
That's right. I would have pulled a Will Smith from I Think I Could Beat Mike Tyson.
You're going to do what Undertaker should have done that night.
Absolutely. but yeah, that's the thing. So the ref, as far as was going to keep going if Punk, would Punk cover in the cover. And that was a great long 2. And that was probably the best long 2, if not, definitely in recent memory, if not ever. And didn't require The Rock or even Scott Hall was pretty guilty of that too.
Yeah, that's true. That's
I
true.
got to throw that to Scott Hall. I do a lot of bashing on Scott Hall. Well, I really like Scott Hall, but I do tend to do a lot of shots at Scott Hall.
Yeah, I've noticed
No
that.
pun intended.
Jeez.
I
I don't think he and DDP are going to start watching this show at this point.
yeah, they should.
Or subscribing.
Look, I'm just saying the thing about the thing about me for Scott Hall is Scott Hall has a lot of traits that I like, and irrefutably he was the first bad guy that was just so good at being bad, as I said before, that I had to like. Definitely great on the microphone, great character, great persona, great at he was really he was solid, he was reliable in the ring. I'll say that much.
Yeah, and as an adult and just hearing a lot of the stories that he's told and that people tell about him, he had a great mind for the business too. So,
but his overall mentality for a lot of other things, though, I firmly disagree on. And I've said that before. So, like in terms of in terms of pet peeves, if you will, this is a little broader, but I will say I have a pet peeve with the no-showing. Like, I know he's not the first person to do it. I
feel like that's more than a pet peeve, though. That's
that's
on a different level.
But the thing is, it doesn't make me irate, but it does, and it depends on your reasoning. Okay, like Punk. Okay, yeah, he's still no showing. He's still currently on a no-show.
He's on the Dave Chappelle no-show kind of thing.
You're right, but. And do I think that this was the best course of action? No. Does it disappoint me as a fan that he's gone? Yes. But I will say CM Punk left for at least reasons that he thought he did not like the direction of the company, creative.
Yeah, he didn't just get loaded at the hotel bar.
Right, or just no-show because he could get more money elsewhere.
Yeah.
And Sabu's guilty of that, and that's one of the things that keeps Sabu from being really, really high on my list. I still like Sabu a lot, but he's never going to be in that upper echelon of guys for me. Just like Scott Hall, he would be in my top 10 probably if he didn't do that.
Yeah, he's got a shot.
He's got a chance. I'm not going to say guaranteed, but there's a chance he'd be in my top 10 if his out of ring behavior was a little bit better. And I understand everyone has their own personal demons about it and all that, but he's been doing stuff like that after the case, or during times where he's allegedly been all right, as far as we know. So that's the thing, and he's conscious of it too. All of his stories he's told about Brett, he just wants money. He just wants that paycheck.
Yeah.
And I think you got to do it for a love of the business. And while I do think he loves it to an extent, I think he loves money a little bit more.
Yeah, and if I'm being honest, I can't completely fault him. I mean, I know I do my job only because they pay me.
Yeah, but wrestling isn't like that, especially when you have guys like The Miz, who a lot of people don't like The Miz, but, and I'm not going to use the excuse for The Miz that, he had a dream, because what I think is they should all be guys with dreams. Miz ain't nobody special just because you heard about him in the real world first.
Yeah. No, actually, I think that may have, at points in his career anyway, done him more harm than good.
Right. So when people
with JBL anyway.
Yeah. So I'm just saying people have a dream. As far as I'm concerned, almost everybody on the roster has a dream of being there, and that's why they're there. Scott Hall, I think it was his dream to an extent, but if you're just looking at it as a business, this is a way to make money. First of all, there's way better ways to make money, especially at that time. If you're looking to make money, wrestling was not the thing to go into.
Yeah. I mean, I'll have to read his autobiography if he has one to really get more of a rundown.
Well, from an interview I saw with him, he was stating how, he felt that Brett should have been the guy as the champion, and he was the number 2 with the IC strap. Brett should have been the one leading the charge, constantly saying, I want more money, or I'm going to leave, or, making it there, because Scott Hall knows that there ain't no way he's getting a raise until Brett gets a raise, because it's just the structure of the business. And he said Brett didn't care as long as he got to win and put himself, put people in the sharpshooter. That's all Brett cared about. And, all right, Brett likes wrestling, and you want to, and now I did a video about that, about, if he wants to complain about someone always wanting to win, it's pretty funny how his career ended, is all I'm going to point out.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying and that's the other thing. He's pretty hypocritical in nature. So I'm gonna throw that out there. But once again, I like Scott Hall. The Razor's Edge is one of my
pretty
favorites.
awesome.
Yeah, Finisher is one of my favorites. I just don't like the way he I just hate where he's come to be, and I almost think that I almost wonder if this is like he just got cynical about the business over time.
Yeah, maybe.
In which case, I can't blame him because, from everything I know about the business, it can definitely suck the life and fun out of you.
Yeah, I think, doubling back to pet peeves with this segue here, But I think he's also one of few wrestlers that I don't think anyone's ever kicked out of his finisher, at least that I could think of.
That's an interesting point, but I'm willing to bet. I don't know because I don't want to rewatch this match and remember. I'm willing to bet Goldberg did.
I feel like
In their follow-up match after Starrcade, when he cost them the belt with a taser, with a cattle prod or whatever that thing was, they had a match. I'm pretty sure Goldberg did.
I feel like Goldberg wouldn't be capable of staying in a match long enough for him to have gotten to that point.
That's also a good point. Now, I'm not saying it did or not, but if anybody did, if he like Goldberg is a good first pick.
Yeah, no, that's fair, but.
Yeah, and I want to have a vivid memory to recall right now, but I don't want to remember. But I spend most of my time trying to forget Goldberg matches, so it's.
Well, it shouldn't be that hard. If you add up all the time put together, I think you're at about 8 minutes. So.
Do you know the time for his current, the current run that he just had?
It came in under 5 minutes.
I thought it was under 10. Yeah, I think it was under 10. Either way,
I might be exaggerating.
Either way, it's not 15.
But honestly, though, I'll take that over 10 straight minutes of German suplexes from Brock at this point. So.
Really? Nah,
I know.
I think I'll take Brock over Goldberg. I mean, don't get me wrong.
I'll take Brock's old matches over Goldberg any day, but at least Goldberg's just end quickly.
They do, but I'm really upset over him taking down Kevin Owens. Like, that was really not okay.
Yeah, I hear you, but it was just a mechanism. Put it back on Brock
anyway.
I don't
care. And triple threaded or something. Like Kevin Owens didn't need that. Like, he really doesn't need to be another victim. And technically speaking, he's last.
Yeah.
Not next. See?
No, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. And did he ever get his rematch?
No.
Well, he should, as the face of America, he should really put up some kind of argument about that.
Now, there's the question. Who do you think is going up for the Universal title?
Oh, after...
We don't know who's getting it next.
Yeah, that's right, because it was supposed to be Strowman to go against Lesnar at SummerSlam, but is he out injured for, past SummerSlam at this point?
They say so, but I'm pretty sure
I heard 6 months, but yeah, I was thinking that's
sure
he'll shock the world and come back.
Which is stupid to me, because they should have just gotten him suspended. He should have just been doing something mean, and Kurt Angle doesn't like it, and suspended him.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe for, flipping over an ambulance. That's the kind of thing that you can't do in real life and not have a repercussion.
Yeah, there you go. Something, anything. Yeah. But he's supposedly coming back by SummerSlam, and from what I was told, the possible plan for him is that he will get a shot at Brock for SummerSlam.
Yeah, I'd rather them keep him away from Brock. I understand.
I'll be fine if he wins.
Yeah, but he's not going to. And if they were going to do that, I'd rather wait until Brock loses his steam a little bit so that he could just be another step on Strowman's path of destruction.
I mean, I would have liked it if WrestleMania the main event is Braun versus Brock. I mean, I kind of want Brock to lose it before then, but
yeah, for sure.
It wouldn't be bad if Braun gets the main event against Brock.
Yeah.
Or if it happens at SummerSlam, I'm fine with that too. But
yeah, I will also say though that I don't think Strowman needs the world title or needs to be in that contention. Like, he's a monster, and we all buy that he's a monster, and he's super talented. So I think, not overutilizing him, not feeding him to Brock,
okay, I don't want it to be Roman Reigns. Well, I mean, because the alternative was, who's it going to be? And I don't want it to be Roman Reigns.
Yeah, if the writing's on the wall already.
Well, I don't care. I don't want it to be Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins doesn't need it.
This is my show.
It should be. Like all fans, I think I should be in charge. And as far as I'm concerned, at least the Raw booking staff has not shown me any reason why your average fan who has a decent enough IQ shouldn't be running the show instead.
Well, if I were running the show, that CM Punk never would have left, and Sting might have that world title right now.
That's true. But
certainly wouldn't have a broken neck. So.
Well, yeah, and there you go. And see, and there you go. There's something else. I'm perfectly capable of understanding that fans want what the fans want, and the majority rule is the way to go, not constantly shoving XYZ down people's throats and saying this is the way it's going to go. I would suggest that, and that reminds me perfectly, Sting versus Undertaker. Is that a match I ever want to see? No, yeah. I don't think they work together stylistically.
Sting's my favorite of all time, and I never even really wanted to see that match.
At least not any time in Sting's tenure in the WWE. They just don't match. I'm not saying that. I bet you they could have that match, and I would watch it, and I probably would be entertained.
Yeah, honestly, with the caliber of matches that Sting was able to put on, all things considered. I mean, he's not,
But I'm just saying it's not the type of, it's just never been my dream match. But nonetheless, because the fans demanded it, I would make that match happen.
Yes.
If I was booking, I would do that. Because I think you do what the people want.
Yeah, I think the people also would have liked him to have beaten Triple H, but who knows, maybe I'm wrong.
No, they definitely had to have. At least the smart people wanted Sting to beat Triple H. Because the only downfall I see, and the only argument I can make against Sting beating Triple H, the only argument I could possibly make is that, sadly, you're going to hate to hear this, but there are a lot of young fans who are now adults who have no idea who Sting is.
Those young fans need to educate themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying it's because it's something that's occurred to me at our age that I've noticed is that, little kids who grew up liking John Cena are now adults. And they still like John Cena. And
which is awesome.
And Johnny, who was on the show who was on the, an earlier episode, he actually doesn't know much about Sting because he didn't really watch that. He was watching during the, the Attitude Era when he was a kid. He was growing up. So he didn't really get a whole lot. Surfer Sting is a mystery. He doesn't actually remember the Ghostbusters cartoon, I'll put it that way.
Well, man, there's nothing good about him.
He's what? In case you couldn't tell, we're all friends. We actually know each other. But
no offense intended there, Johnny.
He knows. He's watched the Ghostbusters movie tons of times, but he never watched the cartoon. He never had access to the cartoon. That was
if he has Netflix, he needs.
Well, he does now. He does
much
now.
Like the other fans you're talking about, educate himself.
and fine, yeah, people should know who Sting is. It's just saying that the only argument I could possibly make is that Sting, is outside of the relevance for many fans. However, for those same young fans, my question is, how relevant would Triple H be? So, it's one hand washing the other on that one. So, yeah, he's slightly more relevant to WWE's fans today.
Yeah, but he never completely disappeared. So I think that alone, you could make that argument. But even so...
Because the thing is, in order to appreciate Sting, you had to definitely watch WCW or be a fan of TNA. But if you were just a pure WWE guy, which a lot of people are, and you're young, you're going to have no idea who Sting is. Or you might have heard of him, but you don't really know what he can do. And if you were watching TNA, you still don't 100% know what he can do. You have a vague idea.
Yeah, but I feel like with the video packages that they do, combined with the short attention spans that most people have today, that's about as much as they're ever going to pay attention. And that's enough to get people excited.
It's enough to get people excited, but it's not enough to carry the momentum. Because Sting's debut at Survivor Series was great, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And Sting's... his beginning promos were rough when they changed his voice, the voice modulation thing for some reason.
I think I missed that one.
Good for you. They had this promo about how he tried to save WCW, but he failed. But they had a filter on it where it deepened his voice, where he sounded like witness protection or something like that.
Ah, that's an interesting choice.
And I don't know why they did that. I understand that Sting's mic skills are not for everyone, including me. I know you love Sting's mic skills. I've never been a fan. But
crazy. You need to go back and educate yourself.
He was a guy who I always felt sounded a little wooden, a little inflected slightly in the wrong spots.
Agree to disagree.
Same thing. I love Bret Hart, but Bret wasn't the best on the microphone.
No, I think in Sting's case... And
they go in the same category for me.
That's fair. I think in Sting's case, he definitely was able to put across more excitement than Bret could. In his promos.
He could, but it just sounded, the inflections just sounded in the wrong spots. I feel like, not early Seth Rollins bad, but I just mean
No,
it sounded scripted. When he talked, it sounded scripted.
That's what I was going to say.
That's where I'll go with Sting on that one.
And I think, even though, yes, he had a character that was Sting, it wasn't anything, especially at the time, that was as over the top as a Dusty, even though Dusty actually was his character, but still. But a Dusty or a Flair, or to even take it to that crazy next level that WWE had or WWF, I should say, Hogan and Warrior, who was off the charts. Sting never he never had that as part of his presentation
And
verbally.
I didn't need him to.
No.
I'm just saying he sounded very rehearsed. But that does bring me. That does remind me of a good point. When you mentioned Flair, for people younger than us who are now legally adults and all. A lot of ways that was Flair for me because I didn't really watch NWA as a little kid. It was something I had to discover later on, AWA, NWA, and all that kind of stuff. So when I was a kid, in 1992, I didn't really know who Ric Flair was. My dad had to tell me who Ric Flair was, but on the same hand, I figured it out pretty quick.
Yeah.
I got it, and I understood who Ric Flair was. It didn't take long.
Yeah, he wouldn't shut up about it.
Well, all I'm trying to say is, while I was saying that the only possible reasonable rationale I could give it is that, kids don't know who Sting is, I'm going to say that I didn't know who Ric Flair was once upon a time, but I learned pretty fast, and they could have done it again. So
yeah, and I think Sting's intro at the time was exciting enough that it would have worked, and Triple H didn't need the win for the crowd to get it. Like that, to me, that doesn't matter for that interaction. It was WrestleMania, first time appearance of a legend, and the match was already discombobulated.
That is a good
with
word.
all the interference going on. Like I understand that arguably protected Sting's loss a bit, but it didn't have to happen.
No.
It contributed nothing.
Well, my thing was that was probably one of the best shots I had at an actual wrestling match on that card, and I just didn't get it because I know Roman Reigns and Brock weren't going to do it. It wound up being Orton and Rollins. That wound up being the wrestling show tonight.
Yeah, that was definitely a great one.
I just never count on Orton being the one doing it. I know he can. He just never rely on him doing it.
Yeah, well, Orton picks his spots.
Yeah,
and those good matches come out of nowhere.
So and furthermore, I'm also going to say this. So, yet again, I'm a big Cornette guy, as I know you are. Cornette said the same thing. The way you book Sting is you give him 3 matches. He wins his first match, then his second match, you put over the guy you're trying to put over, the new guy, and then his third match, he goes out a winner. It's not that complicated. That's just how you book him.
Yeah.
And I don't know why everyone doesn't figure this out. And I hate the Triple H mentality that wins and losses don't matter. Yes, they do. Everyone knows they do.
Yeah,
and if wins and losses don't matter, then why do they feel the need to constantly make Roman Reigns win?
Yeah, exactly.
They matter. They have to be done right. They're doing them wrong with Roman Reigns. They have to be done right, but they definitely win. And they seem to know that. And it's just Triple H's protection. Yet again, more Scott Hall bashing. So he's going to criticize Brett for not, I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. He's going to criticize Brett for always wanting to win, but yet, his boy Triple H, that's perfectly okay, right?
Yeah. For anyone listening in, it's not so much a dislike of Scott Hall, it's an absolute love of Brett.
And an absolute hatred of Triple H. All right, we're running out of time. Got to wrap up the show. So this has been Dave Knows Wrestling, the podcast. I'm your host, David Lee, and this is my special guest, my best friend, Sean Goff. And thank you so much for listening.